This is the gaming channel, and today I wanted to try a new type of video where I give my more raw thoughts on a game just after I've completed it, and in this case compare it to its remake as well. For this video I'm just going off the bullet points I've made, so the structure may seem less organised than scripted videos such as my reviews and Is It Worth Playing series. Before I go any further, be warned that I will be talking about some spoilers. I decided to play through the HD remaster of the remake first, and spent a fair bit of time playing through it as Jill Valentine. In total it took me over 21 hours to complete her campaign in the remake, so that was quite a bit longer than the average on How Long to Beat. Sometime after I bought the original Resident Evil trilogy bundle on GOG. Going back to the original after the remake was an interesting experience, to be fair. The original took me over 7 hours to complete in total, so not that much over the How Long to Beat average. As of the recording of this video, I've only played through both games once as Jill. Now I want to talk about the scare factor. So overall I think the remake is scarier, but the original is still scary. The remake has more jump scares and definitely got me quite a few more times than the original. I will say though, the original still made me jump a fair few times. Enemies do jump out at you more in the remake, such as the hunters. In the original, enemy placement is different, and so there are only perhaps a few occasions in Jill's campaign where enemies jump out at you. Otherwise, most of the hunters don't usually jump out at you, and in some areas of the mansion you can see them before they see you. When it comes to the soundtrack, I think it's great in both the original and the remake. There are one or two tracks I prefer in the remake, but I still like the original versions of those tracks. When talking about the puzzles in both games, the puzzles in the remake are more complex, whereas most in the original are simple. I was mostly able to play through the original without having to look online for help, although one thing I did look up was the code to get in the room to make the V-Jolt. I tried different codes and none of them worked, so I had to skip that and fight Plant 42. Notably, the Plant 42 boss fight was easy. 3 rounds fired from the grenade launcher and that's it. So clearly, if you don't make the V-Jolt in the original, you don't necessarily need to, because you can get the flame rounds for the grenade launcher anyway, and then use them on Plant 42. The cutscene triggers after, where Barry shows up and uses his flamethrower on it. On the other hand, I was able to get into the room to make the V-Jolt in the remake, so it's strange that I wasn't able to get into the room in the original, despite trying a number of different codes, and the queues in the other room were positioned at 3:45, because they are positioned at a certain time. But yeah, even 3:45 didn't work, and then apparently 3:54 could work instead, and that didn't for me, so I just don't know why none of it was working, unless there was some other code I didn't see. In terms of making the V-Jolt in the remake, that was one of a few complex puzzles in that game, and I had to look at the solution for that. Maybe I would have eventually been able to figure it out, but it was a whole maths thing and I couldn't be bothered to try and figure it out, to be honest. There are some additions and changes between the 96 Resident Evil and the remake. The mansion was expanded in the remake with the addition of new areas, while existing rooms have different looks and layouts. The order in which you do things does differ between the two games, and I think certain rooms in the mansion are in different places, I think, as well. The remake did also add a whole subplot involving a character called Lisa Trevor, and there are extra cutscenes and scripted events in the remake. Difficulty-wise, the 96 game is significantly shorter and easier. There were quite a lot of occasions where I had to follow a guide in the remake, as I simply got stumped numerous times. I either didn't know where I needed to go or what to do next to progress the story. The original Resident Evil is also easier because there's no Crimson Head zombies. These were introduced in the remake, where a zombie would come back to life as a Crimson Head if you didn't shoot its head off or burn the body by igniting some kerosene with the lighter. As a result, there's no kerosene in the original due to not having to worry about any of the zombies coming back to life and becoming more dangerous. In the original, if you play through the game for the first time as Jill in the PC/GOG port, you can manually save your game as many times as you like. There are no ink ribbons. After that, all subsequent playthroughs will have ink ribbons, even when you play through as Jill again. If you play the game for the first time as Chris, there will be ink ribbons. Even when you play the remake for the first time as Jill, you still have ink ribbons, and so you still only get a certain number of saves, let's say. I did play on the easiest difficulty, and the very easy difficulty does give you quite a lot of ink ribbons, although I did still run out of them at times, but I probably could have avoided that, to be honest. As for difficulty options, in the original Resident Evil, Jill's campaign is supposed to be easy and Chris's is supposed to be hard, whereas in the remake you can choose from multiple difficulty options for both characters. Now we come to the voice acting and cutscenes. So, the voice acting in the original is laughably bad, while the remakes is significantly better. Even though the voice acting is laughably bad, as I said, the delivery of the lines can be entertaining and there's a good time to be had there.
There is serum. Oh no, I should have brought some with me.
No problem. I'll go and get it.
Thanks.
I'd argue there's still certain deliveries of dialogue in the remake that can sound a bit cheesy, but it adds to the charm. Also, a lot of the dialogue has been changed and improved in the remake. The intro and endings are live-action FMVs in the original, while they are pre-rendered CGI FMVs in the remake. Cutscenes are more cinematic in the remake with a wider variety of shots. There's no question that the cutscenes and voice acting are superior in the remake. Now I want to discuss the endings. I received the same ending in both versions where just Jill and Chris escape the mansion despite certain events occurring differently. Barry ended up dying in different ways in both, so I unfortunately didn't get the best ending even though I was close to getting it in the remake. I will say as well that I did really want to get the best ending in the remake. I suppose I could have reloaded my save, but when he got impaled by the tyrant in that secret boss battle, I wanted to see if he would still be in the final FMV, which shows the ending that you get. Unfortunately he wasn't, which does make sense. I have to admit I was a bit disappointed about that because I didn't really want to get the best ending the first time, but I can always go back and see what it is. Thanks to GOG introducing controller support when the original was released on their platform, I was able to play it using my PS5 controller. Even though the original Resident Evil utilises tank controls, they didn't take long to get used to. I played the HD remaster of the remake on PC, and it gives you the choice between tank controls and a modern control scheme. I used the modern control scheme, but if I replay the game, I may give the tank controls a go. Overall, both games are great survival horror experiences that I look forward to and dread replaying in equal measure. The original is more of a streamlined, straightforward experience that shouldn't be too challenging during your first playthrough as Jill. Meanwhile, the remake offers more content and won't be over as quickly, but will be a more difficult playthrough that may leave you stumped and possibly needing to look at a guide or walkthrough. Furthermore, while the original is still scary to this day, regardless of initially being a PS1 game, I think the remake is undoubtedly the more scary and unsettling version of Resident Evil. I definitely felt more apprehensive playing the remake. I will say, even though I'm not a horror fan, I did want to finally try and get into some of the Resident Evil games this year. The remake of Resident Evil was the first survival horror game I ever completed before adding the original to the list, and I plan to add more of the mainline titles to it in the future. Ultimately, I'd absolutely recommend the original Resident Evil and its remake. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this type of video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and let me know if you like this type of video. Should I do more? Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and that is all.